And what about the Henry Cejudo Dominick Cruz fight? I mean, Dominic was
Wow.
crying that it was stopped a little bit early. Is that what you saw?
What did you think?
No, I saw what the referee saw. I saw Dominic fall
Mm,
down. I saw him get swarmed. The guy comes on top. I mean, you could always have those conversations, and this one isn't without a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking. But the rules, as I understand them, if you get hit 3 times, basic rule here, not written down. If you get hit 3 times without defending yourself, you are now eligible for TKO. He got
yeah.
knocked down. He got swarmed. Over 3 punches happened. I had no problem with it.
Yeah, see, Chael, from your own rules, though, I mean, I had Dom winning the first couple of rounds, so then all you had to do was just tap, and he could have went on and fought the next couple of rounds and won, right? Isn't that how we roll? Isn't this how you rule things sometimes?
Yeah, sure. Hey, wait a minute. You had Dom.
No,
You had
no,
Dom. Oh, okay.
I'm
I didn't
giving
have
you
him
the,
winning.
I'm giving you the, I'm giving you the
I thought it was
Chael and
competitive.
Anderson, the Chael and Anderson fight when you said, "Oh, I thought if I just tapped and got on with it."
Yeah, to
I
get
think
on
you
with
missed.
the round, right? I thought that brought
Yeah,
a conclusion to the round. But what I'm saying
yeah,
though, Josh, is first off, it was a competitive fight. Henry was doing a great job with the leg kicks, but aside from that, I enjoyed the match. I was surprised at the end when Henry retired, and I don't know how sincere I believe that retirement was, particularly when he goes to the post-fight press conference 45 minutes later and says, well, for enough money, I'm no
yeah.
longer retired. So I don't know how sincere it was, but it was a surprise. I mean, as far as drama goes, I'm left at taking a guy at his word at this point, and I would miss Henry Cejudo. I would sincerely
So,
miss him.
so there's 2 questions that you have kind of in there. One was, let me go back to the early stoppage. I thought it was an early stoppage. The only reason why I'm saying it was early stoppage is you consider who it is. It's Dominick Cruz. I'm sorry, it would be no different than I would look at somebody else. Like if it was a Jose Aldo, if it was Max Holloway, if it was someone, Frankie Edgar. Think about fights like Frankie Edgar has been in with Gray Maynard. That fight could have been stopped several times. Okay. But the thing is, you got to let guys like that are troopers and will get through it. For me, I would have let Dom keep going until he would have been lights out. I'm sorry. I look at the championship perspective on him. He's someone that is never going to quit, never going to give up, never going to get into the fetal position and just try to hold themselves there and recover. He's going to keep trying to get up and dominate and get back to a position where he could get to winning the fight. So I look at that with him, and as far as with Henry retiring, I don't think so. It's just right now you don't want to lose what you have in your prime and the momentum you have going right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. He probably needs a little bit of time. I know he just had time off because of the surgery, but he jumped right into a camp, got the win, a lot of buildup, a lot of stress, all this stuff that's going on with COVID, the nose swabs and all the other things that go along with what's going to happen, where we're going to fight. Too much stuff, drama going on right now, I think, in just sports in general. I think he's probably thinking like, look, I just defended the title, did a great job, beat who people consider the GOAT at that weight. I might as well take a little bit of time off, maybe like a full 6 months, make myself better, really rehab the shoulder or, and the injury as much as I possibly can, and then move on and then get ready for let's renegotiate some money and some contract. It makes sense.
Yeah, and, it's not 6 months is not an unreasonable amount of time.
No.
By the way, many guys are getting that break right now. I mean, there's all sorts of fights and not enough dates. It's a problem with both organizations. There's just a lot of fights. I think that's why we were treated so much at 249 to such a loaded card. Not enough dates, a lot of talent, not enough dates. Unique spot for the sport. But Josh, in some ways, there is damage done in either way by Henry, at least in this regard. Henry has done a fantastic job of steering his own career and getting the opponents that he wants. Now, I don't know of anyone that would ever want Dominick Cruz, but for whatever reason did, Henry saw some opportunity there. I think Henry was making headway in getting the Jose Aldo fight. Yeah. That is taken away. Dana came out of the press conference and said, if I got to strip him, I'll strip him. And I'll tell you, one half of the next title fight is going to be Peter Yan. So let's just say Henry comes back to the table. He now does lose that momentum of whatever he was trying to gain by picking an opponent, in this case, Jose Aldo. It appears it's now Yan. Deal with it.
Yeah.
That's
gonna be a hard fight. But I'd like to realistically, I can see the perspective on Henry Cejudo's and the way he's thinking is Peter Yan, even though he's great, I think he's a great fighter. But outside of you and I and the real hardcore fans, no one knows who he is.
Sure.
Let's see him fight another good fight, maybe main event something or co-main event a fight. And I know he has a great win over Uriah, but we're talking about a 40 or 41-year-old Uriah Faber. It's not the same, man. It's not the same as if he was to go out there and fight Aljamain Sterling in a main event somewhere and just light it up and have a great dominant performance. I think the two of them need to fight, and you go ahead and let Henry have the Jose Aldo fight. That right there makes a ton of sense, because when you're talking about the amount of money that they are losing during this COVID time, during this quarantine time, they need to put on the best fights that people want to see. I'm sorry, but no one's going to tune in to watch Henry Cejudo fight Peter Yan.
Sure.
Nobody.
No,
it's going to be like, oh, okay, it's another card. Sure, it's Henry, but I don't know the other guy. If I hear he's fighting Jose Aldo, I'm like, I'm spending the 75 or 85 bucks or whatever it is on high definition to watch it on pay-per-view. That's the bottom line. So when you're talking about what Henry's doing, yeah, sure, he's kind of probably ruining the flow of what's going on. But go ahead, Dana, strip him. You're ruining. I don't think Dana would be stupid enough to do that. We haven't seen a strip of Stipe and things like that. So we have seen guys in the past hold on to titles for a long period of time without fighting. The problem that I think with Dana is anytime a fighter starts bringing up retirement, you know you're going to start having issues. It's just one of those things. In the past, I mean, you start bringing it up, especially at a time when you're in your prime. It's almost like you want more attention, you know. And that as a promoter, that starts kind of bugging you. I think a little bit like, hey man, I'm making you a ton of money. I'm promoting the shit out of you. What do I do? And so when Henry is saying something like that, he's got to tread lightly. I understand he's probably wants more money, but you got to look at it from the promoter's point of view. Are you going to be around? Are you not going to be around? You're not a draw like Conor McGregor is. Sure, you're a big name, and sure, you've done great things, Triple C, all those things. You're wonderful, but you're not drawing me what Conor McGregor is or what Khabib is. So you got to tread lightly a little bit as much as you can, Henry.
No, I fully agree with that. Look, Henry is a big deal for that division. He's the highest paid guy for that division, but it does still take a little bit of time. I mean, Josh, in all fairness, Henry was the only champion on the card 3 nights ago, and he was not the main event. So, I mean, in all fairness, you know, it takes a little bit of time. You want to know another great fight, though, by the way? I mean, before we just pull Peter Yan into this, I think he's like 15-1 or 16-1, some crazy record. He's definitely done a good job. But you brought up Sterling. I'm going to go. Sterling's getting ready to take on Sandhagen. For me, there's some major opportunity right now, particularly with all the eyeballs that are watching those guys fight by process of elimination, of nothing else, of other things to watch. But for whatever the reason, we got a lot of eyes on that. It would seem to me that there could be a number one contender coming out of that.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that. I could see that, but that still doesn't take away from Henry Cejudo fighting Jose Aldo. I don't see the money wise, even if there comes a number one contender out of that fight and it's a barn burner. That's wonderful. But I don't see the numbers. Remember, they've lost so much money not having shows for the last 2.5 months or 2 months, whatever it is. And it's going to continue to be a little bit like that. They're going to have to build this back up. I heard the other night the card did wonderful, but the next 2 cards are not stacked like this card was, like 249 was. So when you're talking about viewerships and people wanting to get back into sports, I agree. But you don't have the same name values that you had on that card on 249. So tonight's card, I wouldn't expect it to have the same type of pop and the same type of viewership that the other one. So if I'm Dana and I'm on the outside looking in, I'm thinking Henry and Aldo as soon as I possibly can. Okay, unless either one of those guys wants to push it off, but I would try to get that fight on as soon as I possibly can to just keep the money flowing coming in. The last thing is I want to make a point is, look, when you have guys that are under contract, you got to remember these guys need to fight in a certain amount of time. So what do? You pick the ones that make the most. If I'm a promoter, I pick the ones that are making the most, because if I don't fight them in that 18-month period or that 2-year period or whatever, okay, then I'm on the hook to pay them out anyways. And if that happens, I'm paying them for never fighting. So all the guys that need to make up fights during this time, they're the ones that need to be fought first. So those are all the big name guys. That's why they're pushing these cards and they're stacking these cards. All the undercard guys or all the guys that are opening the main cards, we don't need to fight them as much. You want to know why? Because their pay isn't anywhere near as much as the other guys, like a Jose Aldo and a Henry Cejudo. They don't need to pay them as much. And also, if those guys want to get mad and collect their money and leave, the UFC will just cut them. They'll say, look, we're going to keep you, and you're just going to go ahead and we'll extend you another 2 fights, or we'll give you a little bump in pay for being so patient with us because of everything. But they don't want to lose any of their big name guys. They don't want to lose a Jose Aldo. He's too big of a name. Doesn't even matter how old he is. Okay, all these other guys, they don't want to lose them. The big name guys that are making a ton of money, they're going to stack these cards and they want to fight them because they don't want them to go somewhere else, or they don't want to pay them out on fights that they never fought.